Ayman Khan here for Seconds Out with boxers Ben Shalom in the community in Manchester. Good to be here, good to give back to you. If I'm hearing that boxer are giving everyone a pair of gloves, a shirt, and the opportunity here to mingle and mix with professional fighters who are looking to push on with their careers.
Yeah, it's good. Obviously, thank you to Crawler and Lawrence and Spencer, Lauren, Caris, Jack Cattrall, everyone that come down. Yeah, I think it's good. To be honest, it's refreshing. Sometimes it's good to do this because it reminds me of why you love the sport, why you get involved in the sport, what it actually means to people at the gym level. Obviously in Salford, this is my hometown, so it's good to be back. And yeah, just memories, and also just makes you, again, just brings you back down. I think so. The problem is the professional sport is so out of touch with the amateur sport. There's no connection. We never televise any of the big amateur events. These guys feel a million miles away from us. Like even meeting a couple today, they're just like, it's almost out of reach. And so, look, everyone's trying their best, but I think Sky in particular and Boxer, we need to try and make it more accessible. We need to try and make it within reaching distance for guys in here. They need to have access to cheaper tickets. I've seen a lot around, free tickets of this and that. It's not about that. It's about boxing tickets when they're starting at £100 and things like that for a decent seat. That's a completely different world to what this is. And it's just trying to make sure that we open those communications lines. We're working with England Boxing now, and hopefully we can start televising a couple of their events. And I think it's healthy for the sport, and it works for everyone. And so, delighted to be here.
Looking to push a new initiative. Also, you have Lawrence Okolie signed, sealed, almost delivered on Saturday. Good to have Lawrence finally back out fighting.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long road for Lawrence. Fucking hell, like a year, over a year out the ring, and everything that's gone on. It does. You have to worry a little bit when someone changes trainer, obviously changes promoter, managers, complete change of setup. And Sugar Hill, he's my guy. He is an unbelievable trainer, but he's not a magician in terms of changing his style immediately. I think they're working on that. And Lawrence is a world champion, and he's proven at what he does. And to be going into a genuine world title against a mandatory challenger who has beaten everyone to get here, for me, I think we sat here on Sunday morning saying, "Wow, that was a tough fight." Because even speaking to Josie Parker, who's done so many rounds with David Light, he's a quality amateur. He went to all the tournaments, was always put forward by New Zealand, unbeaten guy, beat Brandon Glanton last time out on his promoter's show in America, against a guy who is a ferocious puncher and volume guy and a guy who will come forward fighters. And I didn't expect him to win. I know Glanton team put the money down for that final eliminator so that they could fight Lawrence Okolie. And David Light came through. However controversial it was, he came through. And I know how tough he is. And I think it's a big test, and it's not something we'd have chosen. We were always going to do a fight for Lawrence, given he was out the ring, so that he was active and then into unifications or Richard Riakporhe. Because this is a mandatory, it's a serious fight, and for Sugar Hill to be coming in, there's a lot of pressure on Lawrence, especially as what happened, and a lot of talk and a lot of chatter and this and that. And look, I know how confident he is, and I know how good he's feeling, but this is a genuine world title fight, and he's going to have to be very, very switched on.
For Lawrence, it seems there's a lot of potential there to maybe slip into being a next pay-per-view star potentially down the line. Do you feel that Lawrence has to get maybe the entertainment side right as a boxer, strip away some of the old hugging criticism that he had before, like I said, moving with Sugar Hill, giving those knockouts, so that he can be the boxer or face the boxer as the statement was when maybe he was going to sign. He has to get that right to step into the mainstream.
Yeah, look, whose statement was that? It was my statement. Lawrence Okolie is one of our only world champions in this country. For me, he's the best cruiserweight in the world. He's gonna have a fantastic career at heavyweight as well. But he's getting to the business end now. Every fight is going to be a world title fight, a unification, a huge grudge match. To change his style that late, whether he needs to, whether or not, all I know is the Kronk style and Sugar will be inputting something that we know is his formula, and whether he can make that transition, we'll see. For me, He's already a fantastic fighter, and he needs to be careful to not completely forget that. Yes, he'll want to have clean knockouts. He'll want to show what a boxer he is. He'll want to address some of those hugging things. But for me, he's now going to be in the big fights. Maybe on his way up, that can be boring and this and that. But when you fight unifications and when you're fighting Richard Riakporhe, when you're going up to heavyweight and fighting hopefully for world titles up there, you do whatever you do and whatever you can to win. And those are the fights fans want to see, and those were the fights that fans will be entertained by. So, yeah, I think he's got to be careful not to completely, switch up everything. Given he got this far, he is a world champion, and this is his first fight under a new trainer. So, and Shane McGuigan, by the way, is a fantastic trainer, and actually I felt Lawrence was really, really developing well under him. And if he goes probably to two of the most revered trainers in the world, and so yeah, it will be interesting with Sugar, and he definitely brings something different. I think he brings that star quality, and that's it.
Run me through the rest of the card, Ben. What can fight fans expect to see when they tune in on Saturday? Also, start with me with Fraser Clarke. Curious career so far in terms of matchmaking. Do you feel that you got it right and are going to be getting it right in the future?
Look, we got a call on, one of our matchmakers got a call on Sunday, and it was Riddell's collapse. At that time, you're thinking, that is devastating for Fraser, but my word, what's going on for Riddell? He's okay. He could have died. He might never box again, so that was one thing to deal with. The matchmaking team at Boxer turned around his... What's up? Do you want me to go in it? Yeah.
Just picking this back up with Boxer's Ben Shalom, just posing for a photo with the kids, the youth of Walkden. You were running through the card and you were telling us about Fraser Clarke, the situation there. Yeah,
I mean, it was devastating news, but the team at Boxer got the matchmaking team in 15 hours. For me, a better opponent. Daniel Dubois fought him in his 17th fight or 15th fight. You got to remember, this is Fraser's first 8-rounder. For me, it's a good fight, and I'm very, very, very happy with the team to be able to turn that around, because we were thinking the worst. Fraser's had a really tough start in terms of fighters pulling out 3 days to go, 2 days to go, and sometimes if it's weigh-in, you're left in a situation where he either fights against someone you don't want him to fight, or he's off the card. And so to get him out is good, and for me it's a good fight, and I think it's one that he's really looking forward to, and he's obviously very happy with.
Rest of the card, run me through it.
Carissa Artingstall fights against Lindsay Basinski. Now Lindsay asked, she's from Manchester, she's 4-1. She was saying, I really, really want to fight Carissa in Manchester as soon as it can happen, and how could we say no? Carissa, obviously, as an Olympic medalist in a third fight, for me, it's what you want to do in the sport. It's, for me, when you have new names going on TV, fans sometimes complain. It's like, what do you want to do? Regurgitate the old stuff, or try and bring through new stars? And there's thousands of talented fighters out there that don't get the chance. Mikey Gomez Jr., he gets to fight for the first time on Sky Sports. Son of an absolute legend, worked his way through drugs, alcohol, I knew Mikey Gomez was one of the first fighters I ever worked with when I was 22. I remember driving around in Manchester trying to pick him up because had been drinking before a weigh-in, and I'm saying, come on, we're going to a weigh-in, and this is small hall boxing. So I'm so proud of him to see him now. I didn't think he would be up to it, and I didn't think he'd have progressed in his career to quite where he has now. He fights for an English style 50-50 fight against Levi Giles, something that he'll be looking forward to. Callum Simpson, for me, he's a sleeping giant in that super middleweight division. He'll be on TV. He's going to fight Felix Cash's last opponent, who went the rounds with him, gave him a tough night's work, and obviously Felix Cash is considered to be one of the best super middleweights in the country. So for me, Callum Simpson is one to watch out for. Mikey Gomez Jr., Carissa Artingstall, Fraser Clarke, Brian Phillips against Reese Edwards is another big fight. Aaron McKenna and Shaquille Thompson, who need to fight each other. I know they were meant to fight each other on this. There's a lot of bad blood between them. Something's gone on behind the scenes. They're both on the card. Samuel Lamwee's on the card. Frankie Stringer's on the card, who's from Liverpool and managed by Liam Smith. We have high hopes for him. For us, this card was never meant to be here. Lawrence Okolie was meant to fight on Taylor Cattrall. We then we're going to fight, and out of Sky, who were sensitive to UFC being last week, we were going to fight Lawrence in London at the Royal Albert Hall on March the 18th. We had to get this fight away. When we decided this was the only day we could do, we came to Manchester. Of course, Lawrence is not from Manchester, but we filled it with local talent, and we think we've got some great fights. And as I say, Gomez Jr., Karis Artingstall, Fraser Clark, all in good fights. And for me, Callum Simpson, as I say, he is the one to watch in that division. And he's bringing a lot of support from Barnsley, and obviously a top world title fight to top it.
If I'm right, Jack Catterall was supposed to be on the card here. What was the situation there? And Prograis fight, is it possible?
I think it is. I think Jack Catterall was only on this card because he was fighting Josh Taylor. That was it. So after that, it was pointless. He wants to wait for his big fight, and fingers crossed he'll get it.
Away from this, got to get your thoughts on a couple of things. Let's start at the top of the tree. Boxing fans have been waiting for Tyson Fury versus Oleksandr Usyk. It appears we're not going to be getting it. Frank Warren is trying to resurrect the deal there. A shame if this fight doesn't go ahead, Ben, do you feel?
Not just a shame, I think it's devastating. To be honest, I thought, if I'm honest, it was the easiest fight to make. Because both guys appeared to want it, and they both have world titles, and they talk about it. Hopefully, it's potentially a watershed moment, because we can laugh and joke about why it's not happening this, but this is the two best guys in the sport, in the marquee division, that aren't able to get a fight together. Is there something in an infrastructure where the best have to fight the best? When the belts are on the line, unifications have to happen. Because for me, it not happening is why people fall out of love with boxing, and why people just turn it off and don't want to bother and can't be arsed, because they can't. When in any other sports, you not have the best fighting the best at the right time. For me, especially both as world champions, it's devastating. I still have hope, and we always know him as a boxing fans. Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off, and it's constant, and we've heard it for the past months. It's quite tiring. We hope that it's on. If it doesn't happen, it is devastating. I do believe that.
The sticking points seem to be, or the latest sticking points seem to be that the first fight would be 70-30, then if Usyk won, it'd be 70-30 in his favour. Do you feel that was a fair thing to stick by from Usyk's team?
I don't know, but we don't know the truth. We don't know. It seemed like they'd agreed 60-40, and then they'd agreed a rematch, and then things changed, and then it had to be 70-30. From the outside, it does look as though Alexander's team have done absolutely everything they can. But I don't know. Unless you're in those negotiations, you're never really going to know why Tyson Fury hasn't taken it or whatever. For me, it has to happen, and if it doesn't, it's a tragedy, and it is difficult. But as I say, it can't go on much longer. You cannot have unifications of such importance. We have mandatories for world titles. At what point do they become mandatory unifications? I don't know, because you can't have this, because it turns people off the sport. The broadcasters lose interest. Kids in today, all they want to do is talk about Fury, Usyk, and the big fights. They're not going to want to watch boxing if the big fights aren't happening. And that's why I'm most devastated. And I'm not going to gossip as to whose fault it is. It's just shit that it's not happening.
Boxers competition seems to have ramped up now. Eddie Hearn returns to Sky, with DAZN securing a TV channel on Sky Sports, or Sky, part of the Sky package. Do you feel that that's an increased level of competition now? Got to up the game to make sure that the boxer product is the one that the boxing fans look to view, as opposed to DAZN and Matchroom Boxing's offering on the same satellite platform?
BT's on Sky.
Yep.
Yeah. Box Nation is on Sky. Babe Station is on Sky. You know, I mean it really. They could have. DAZN could have had a channel. I can have a channel on Sky. It's an open platform. I can put Boxer TV on Sky. It's not Sky. In the sense that I've got nothing. DAZN are spending huge money in the sport, and they're fantastic for the sport, and a fantastic platform, and they're going to go from strength to strength. I believe that, and I never want to be this promoter. I understand the fun in it, but when we're being pitched against each other, and I appreciate it happens because we sign fighters and we're competing for fighters and this and that. It doesn't make sense, but yeah, I think the argument is always about how many people are watching the fights. For me, I thought clearly it wasn't part of the strategy. The strategy was a streaming platform, and now it's like what Box Nation is or was on Sky. Still a separate subscription. But yeah, anyone can get a channel. But again, I don't want to talk it down. It's just a lot of smoke and mirrors in the sense, as I say, there's a lot of Box Nation on Sky, BT on Sky. They're not part of your Sky subscription. They're not on Sky. It's very. I'm not sure anything changes. All I hope is DAZN keeps spending in the sport, because that is creating great fights. It's creating a healthy sport. It's creating people in here believing that they can have a career in the professional sport. I don't want to pitch again it, but yeah, Sky, yeah, it's strange. Nothing's changed for us. Nothing's changed.
Speaking of viewership, there was a very big showdown that happened on TalkSport between Simon Jordan and Eddie Hearn. Did you listen to that conversation? And if you did it change or sway in any way your position on Conor Benn and his path to clear his name?
No. No. I mean, Again, I don't want to say anything. I've got nothing against Eddie. We hope to make fights with Matchroom in the future and with Queensberry. The one thing I saw was, if a fighter's failed a drugs test and you can't pull a fight, I don't agree with that. 100% you can. 100%. It's not, you're the one with the commercial contract, and the contracts will cover that. But apart from that, I think it's good to have healthy debates. I've not watched it. It was a long thing. I've not watched it all. Obviously, my position. I work in boxing. I know what's going on, and so my position doesn't change. But yeah, it was entertaining, and but nothing changes. I mean, it's difficult for Simon. He doesn't work in the sport, but Eddie's very good at talking and deflecting and this and that. So it's difficult. But again, nothing against Eddie, nothing against Simon. It's good to debate, and I've got nothing to say. Again, it's not. Yeah, nothing to say.
That's fair enough. Well, what is your business? And I thought was quite interesting in that conversation was Eddie Hearn was very confident that Conor Benn would be taking on Chris Eubank Jr. Wasserman, yourself, there was a rematch clause, which there was a deadline, public deadline of 2 weeks. It appears we're past that point. Are you confident that Chris Eubank Jr. will enter into a rematch with Liam Smith, or is that now gone?
We have a contract with Wasserman, and they activated the rematch clause. I actually don't have a contract with Chris Eubank Jr., so I know he's talking about Eubank Jr. It's not signed for that. I think that's something between you have to ask Wasserman about. Wasserman have a deal with Eubank. When we did that fight, we were requested and forced to have a rematch clause in there. It was activated, 100%, and we all saw that. And we have 5 months to put on the fight and Liam. But again, that was chosen by Chris and his team, and chosen by Wasserman. In terms of contracts with Chris Eubank Jr., that's a Wasserman and Chris thing. I only have a contract with Wasserman. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But again, I've never had a promotional contract with Chris.
I'll hold some questions for another day, but I'll ask you a couple more. Kell Brook seems to be returning to training. When we last saw him, he was on the Sky Sports platform. He had like a little pen emoji and a picture of you to say you'll maybe potentially sign with Sky. What's the situation with Kell Brook right now? Is he returning to Sky?
He's coming on Saturday. I don't even know when he's returning to the sport. I think it's just whether it's June, whether it's September. What's good is he's getting fit. He seems healthy. He'll just take whatever fight's available, whether it's Liam Smith, whether it's Colin Benn, whether it's Eubank Jr. I imagine he just wants the biggest fight or fights. But yeah, good to see him training. And I think he'll be there on Saturday with his dad.
Just me putting two and two together. A bit quiet on the Western Front for Dillian Whyte. Any interest in signing Dillian at all?
For the right fights. I think I've said from the start, our focus is young talent. And that's what you'll see for the next couple of years. We're investing in young talent and who we think can be the future of the sport. If the right fights are there, of course, we'd like to make it. We did it with Kell Brook. We did it with Eubank Smith. We'll make the right fights if we can, 100%. In terms of long-term signings and things like that, we want to create new names. And with Ben Whittaker coming back and Lauren Price and Karras, they all feel like new signings. Adam Azim gets the headline again. Fraser Clark, obviously, this weekend, and so many others. That's where our focus is right now.
Yeah, final thing, Boxer looking to put on fights in different locations. Birmingham, I'm from Birmingham myself. Yeah. Notorious location to try and sell out in arenas. A small hall is successful, but Birmingham not very much a hotbed right now. You're confident that you sell that out, and also moving to places like Poland and having fights, including Alan Babic on there. but different and innovative moves, it seems.
We've got to work with other promoters. We've set up infrastructure. We're working with different broadcasters. We worked with Canal Plus for the first time, which was a great success in Paris. We now go to Poland for the Babic World title, and we get to bring Okolie out there, Jamie TKB, Caroline Dubois. So yeah, it's something that you're going to see, so we can put on more fight nights, make bigger fights. We're still an early stage company, so everything we want to do has to come. We would like to have done this last year. It takes us, we have to put things in place. Now we're doing it this year. Again, it's step by step, but yeah, it's big. And Birmingham's a massive area for us. Fraser Clark, Ben Whittaker, Tyler Denny. I think Florian Marr could be on that card as well, he tells me. And we just believe there's so much talent coming from the Midlands area right now. Yes, Birmingham's always been notoriously difficult, but if it ever can do it, it's now. For me, Ben Whittaker and Fraser Clark in particular can have long, successful careers of selling out that arena if we can get it right. And it starts on May the 6th, which will be an unbelievable celebration of Midlands boxing. And Tyler Denny, the unsung hero, now gets to have his moment in the sun. Lauren Price will be on that card as well, and Buatsi in his first fight for us as well. So it's delighted to get that over the line. But yeah, for me, Birmingham is going to be a big hub of British boxing in the next few years.
Looking forward to seeing it. Looking forward to the fights this weekend. Thanks for speaking to SecondsOut. Ben Shalom. Much appreciated.